Welcome to another episode of Out of the Blank Podcast. I'm here with James.
Hello, Robbie. How's it going?
James, you have a specific set of skills, and not, I would say, a murderous type of skills, but a skills that's aimed to please. It's a word you used to me earlier, and I'm interested. What are the skills, man? Can you chop up sushi? Are you really good at claw machines like me? Because that's a skill, but it's not useful in anything in your life at all.
Well, I can wiggle my ears.
Can,
That's a set of skills.
can you legit actually wiggle your ears?
Oh yeah, yeah.
You got the eyebrows going and everything. Your camera was trying to focus in on it too. That was good.
My camera did not like that.
There was always those kids in school that had like these amazing talents where it's like, I'm double jointed and they can pull like their thumb back to like their ankle. And I was like, whoa. And then there was like someone that's like, I can wiggle my nose. And I'm just like, I can't too. It's called sniffing. Just smelling something like a nice apple pie's in the air, and you're thinking that's a major skill. Is that going to get you into any competitions? And next thing you know, they're on TV on a show called Bewitched.
Yeah, there were a couple of kids in my school. They used to turn their eyelids inside out.
Oh,
It freaked me the hell out.
I tried that, and then I poked my eye like really bad, and I had to go to the nurse's office. And here's a really crazy story. So one thing I hold precious is my eyes. I'm just like anything gets near them, it's just that and my ears. Because one time I was cleaning out my ears, and someone opened up the door when I was like cleaning out one of my
Ooh.
ears, and it went into my head like the whole Q-tip, but like the end of the other side. And it punctured my eardrum. So I was like, oh my God, like I'm officially deaf. So if I was deaf today and I was living off of reading lips with the mask situation, that would be so damn difficult.
Oh
Like
yeah.
the
Oh,
Amish and
good
deaf
lord.
people are the people I'm worried about the most. But back to the eye thing. So I went to the nurse's office, and I was sitting there, and she's like, why don't you just go lay down and then you'll be fine? Because that was always the cure. Go lie down and then
Yep.
you'll be okay. And a woman came in and she was holding her eye. I was like, oh my God, I hit my eye too. Like my eye's fine. I don't need to hold it or I need an eye patch, but I wanted an eye patch. And I was like, what's wrong with your eye? And she goes, oh, I have to go back to the hospital because something, whatever, one of her retinas things got messed up.
Ooh,
And I was like,
yeah.
how did that happen? She's like, I got hit in the face and I've had eye surgery when I was a kid. So it disconnected something. And I was like, what do you mean disconnected? And she goes like, reveals her eye. And there's one of the retina things that is dangling under the
Oh.
eyelid, like a little cord. Like when you're like,
Oh my god.
if you get like a rotisserie chicken, that little like
Yeah.
intestine thing that's in there, it was like that popped out of her eye. Like she looked like a chihuahua with the cherry eye. And I was like, oh, and ever since then, I can never look at eyes the same. Like it's
No.
just knowing that there's just these. I mean, think about it. I always like changing the perspective of things. When you have your eyes, think they're just magical gateways that are able to really show you the drastic realizations of the world. And a sudden hit can disconnect those things, just like unplugging your fucking TV.
It's unreal. You gotta treat them with respect, man. You only get one pair of eyes.
That See, you say treat them with respect, and this is why I'm like, people can't go into outer space. We shouldn't be worried about all these futuristic technologies because in 2014 a woman made herself blind by putting bleach in her eyes because she wanted to be blind. By the age of 24 she learned complete braille. She learned everything. Her whole life she wanted to be blind, and she puts dish detergent in her eyes. And I'm like, why? Well, I don't trust people. That's why I don't trust anything.
No, no, good lord. Intentionally doing that is just wrong.
But it's like people feel like, what would it like to be blind? Would people treat me better? And I'm like, depending on how you are as a person, I've met some blind people and some of them are assholes. I'm just saying.
Oh, jeez. No, that's oh
You got
no.
to be you got to be careful who you go to school with. That's the main point.
Yes. Well, I'm glad I'm not in school anymore, so non-issue.
You don't miss it a little bit.
Not so much. I was one of the kind of the outcast anime club people. Um,
So like the
yeah,
cool guys now.
the
That's
cool
the
guys
thing.
now, but
Yeah.
back then, no, not so much.
I remember in sixth grade, my teacher, he would have Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments. So you would stay after class, like after school activities, instead of like, I'm going to tutor you in math. It's like, no, we're going to play Yu-Gi-Oh. And I'm like, what? How am I going to convince my parents that
It's
I'm
math.
staying after school to play Yu-Gi-Oh? And it is math. That was his point, was that you have attack and defense points and you have to calculate it. And I'm like, I'm learning. So then I was like guilting my parents, like, do you want me to pass math class? Well, I need to buy the new booster pack, or I'm probably going to fail if I don't get a three eye or blue eyes white dragon.
Oh, jeez. Oh, that's something I haven't played in years. I used to have such a collection of those cards.
There's a whole
But
entire Snapchat filter thing where people were posting on their stories. That's an app that's dead now, Snapchat. Um,
yeah.
but everybody was posting nostalgia, and it was like kids turning on their Game Boys for the first time, or in like a long time, and then it's like Yu-Gi-Oh cards and all this stuff. I'm like, oh, like it was a trip down memory lane. But the one thing that people barely remember, or kids nowadays will never remember, is when you're on a road trip and you have your Game Boy and you're waiting for a street light to come by to
Yes,
light up the
yes.
car so you can move.
I think I actually convinced my parents to get one of those little lights that you plugged into the side of it so that I could deal with that, so I didn't have to deal with the street lights.
I had the freaking extendable light too, and the whole. I kept this quiet on road trips. I mean, as a parent's perspective, I'm looking like that was a great invention. And then stopping at like McDonald's or wait, were you a McDonald's or Burger King guy?
Yeah, I think we were more Burger King and Wendy's. McDonald's not my jam.
Man, I think I've went to Wendy's twice my whole entire life, only because we had a brief time with Wendy's down in my town. It burned down, and they
Ooh.
built a fucking Dairy Queen where I was like, who is getting Dairy Queen? I'm sorry. That's like, hey kids, where do you want to go? Everyone's like McDonald's, and then one kid's like Burger King, and then the kid in the back, like way back, like third seat, like you forgot about him. He's in the trunk, basically. He just goes Dairy Queen. They're like, shut up, shut up. Why are you saying Dairy Queen?
I like me some blizzards.
I think it's the whole aspect. Like Arby's was really entertaining for me because of the dude's voice. That's all that mattered to me. Was I don't care if the food's good. I don't care if it's bad. When that dude comes on the screen and goes, Arby's, we have the meats. I'm like, yep, I'm definitely gonna have to get whatever he just recommended I get.
I can honestly say I don't think I've ever eaten Arby's.
Is that because you're in Canada?
Yes.
They don't have
Well, we
Arby's
do
up
we do
there?
have one,
Oh,
at least in my general area. I've never been.
you gotta go, dude.
Well,
Like
may,
right now. Like
I don't think they're open yet.
like that's all right. So here, this actually leads into something that's been on my mind for a while. So I always talk about McDonald's breakfast is probably one of the best things in the entire world when it comes to maybe a good easy breakfast to get. But they did the worst thing in the world, which was serve breakfast all day. I don't.
Oh no.
I think that's too much freedom for anybody. I think that you should have a set limit or rules where you're like, hey, you have to be here by 10 o'clock. So that makes you get up early, makes you go over there and grab your sandwich and everything. But Burger King was like, it's a commercial for their new breakfast croissant, which looks like they put a 5 pound thing of eggs on a sandwich.
Wow.
And it was like, and it's why I love Burger King. It was like, we woke up a bunch of people to try the new croissant. And everyone's like, get out. Like they're at a college dorm, like, get out. What are you doing? It's the king. He's knocking on people's doors and he's got a ring on his finger. And it's a sauce packet, like one of the ones you would dip
Oh
like your
yeah, the
chicken nuggets
dips.
in. And it has a golden chicken nugget getting dipped into the sauce on his as a ring. And I'm like, he's got flavor and he's got, in Flavor Flav's terms, flavor. So he's got two types of flavor there. And I'm looking at the commercial and he's knocking on people's doors and waking all these people up. And all these people are like, oh my God, like just go away. And then he's sitting them down to have breakfast. And he goes, we stopped serving it at 10 a.m. I was like, thank you. You're putting limits on people where if you really honestly want this sandwich, you got to get your ass up and you got to go to Burger King and you got to order one before we stop selling them in the morning. Chick-fil-A does that, and they don't say thank you or you're welcome to anything that I ever do, but still.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you gotta admire the people who have breakfast for dinner though, because
mm, that's like
hey,
lazy. It's okay
don't knock
sometimes.
friggin' a nice thick chocolate chip pancake for dinner.
What fucking house were you raised in?
This is my current house.
chocolate chip pancakes for dinner. That was
Yep.
like breakfast at my grandparents' house where like I was a kid and yeah, I did have childhood obesity, but I would battle my parents because I would just sit there like, what's for breakfast? Whatever you find, like make something. And I'm like, oh, I don't okay, I would make this peanut butter sandwich where I just put one giant glob of peanut butter in the middle of it and the rest of it's just bread. And then I would go to my grandma's house and it would be like this amazing thing. She'd wake you up at like 6 a.m., 7 a.m. because I used to sleep in like hard.
Oh
And
yeah.
she used to wake us up like breakfast. I'm like, oh my God, you would smell bacon, sausage, scrapple, the potato shreds, chocolate chip pancakes was my staple. I would fill up on those and chocolate milk. And she's like, but you got to eat your vegetables. I'm like, what's my vegetable? She's like, hash browns, but I cooked it in vegetable oil, so it's
Oh,
healthier for you. And
oh,
I'm like, like,
I love your grandma.
oh
That's
my God,
awesome.
I love her too. And my grandpa was like, that's why I married her. I was like, all right, you got it set, man. I mean, she is literally fresh fruit, everything chopped up right in the morning. Remember, she tried to teach me how to cook one time and that didn't go well. So she was like, never again. And I was like, that's fine. I didn't want to learn anyway. I'd rather you just make me things.
Yeah, that's one way. I've recently started to try to learn to cook a little better. My girlfriend loves it, but
What can you cook?
well, I've recently discovered that I can do a decent chicken lo mein.
Hold on. My terms of learning how to cook was like I learned how to use the oven and I made chicken. You're like, I made a lo mein. I'm like, dude, there's brackets to how you should be starting cooking. Like, I tried making eggs one time and then I worked my way up to bacon, but you're like level
Oh,
10 immediately.
that was my recent accomplishment. I've been doing okay with the eggs. My girlfriend loves the over easy eggs, and now it's forever my job to cook the eggs. It's almost become my job to cook entirely, so got to learn something.
Is there anything you're dreading to learn? Like things that might be out of the comfort zone? Like for me, trying to maybe do a steak, that would be really difficult because I rarely eat red meat.
Steak actually isn't terribly difficult to cook if you do it. You
Bruh,
know what?
it's a food that'll kill you. If you don't cut that thing right, you will die.
Okay, fair enough.
Like if you like, I looked this up because I was like, how many people choke on a piece of steak? It can't just be me. It's not like I'm physically incapable of eating a steak right. So I looked it up. Most, at least most steakhouses, their waiters and waitresses are required to learn CPR because the amount of people that choke on steak. And I was like, what? Are there people that are like, I love this so much that I can die and that'll be okay? Like I'll be perfectly fine to going into the next life. Like
So some people probably just enjoy it so much they try to do that pizza thing, roll it up and shove it down their throat. So
with a steak? Oh
with a
my
oh,
God.
probably who
Can you picture the like, what are you talking about? Vikings? Like
probably
dude's
yeah.
dude enters a Ruth Chris. And honestly, if you go to a Ruth Chris, I already don't like you. I have friends that go there all the time, but
I
60
have never
bucks
even
on it.
heard of it.
It's like the most ridiculous place you can get food in the world. Like a small steak, like the one the size of maybe of your hand, or not even your hand, not even your fist, like just the three fingers and or size of a Coke can. That's the size of their steak, and it's like $80.
Ouch.
And I'm like, why do you go there? Well, it's the idea. It's Ruth Chris. And it's like buying Supreme. You're just buying a fucking fire extinguisher with the word Supreme on it. There's nothing different about it. I bet you it doesn't even work.
Oh yeah, it pops a one of those snakes out of it. Those little spring snakes.
I immediately thought of how many times that got me as a kid where it's like, oh, peanut brittle, and it explodes in your face. You're like, oh, I was actually really excited for peanut. That was my Patrick Star voice, if you couldn't tell. I don't. I know you're a voice actor, and I have some
Uh,
vocal range. Most of them are impersonations, and they're pretty shabby.
yeah, I'm still on my journey for voice acting. I'm not quite to impressions yet.
What's a voice you can do?
Um, well, I mean, there's the standard that never gets you anywhere. There's like the Joker or Herbert the Pervert, things like that.
Wait. Give me the Joker.
Oh, jeez, put me on the spot.
You can do it to me too. I have a okay range.
um, hmm. I'll go more for the Heath Ledger style. Why so serious?
He had the murderous intent and everything.
Yeah, I find in some of the auditions that I've done, I've connected more with the psychopaths. I don't know if that's telling. That might be something deep within me, but we won't touch that.
I'm not going to judge. I've had thoughts of what happens if I jumped into this wood chipper or what happens if I threw that person into a wood chipper. A lot of stuff deals with wood chippers. I think it's because I live in a town where there's like a lot of trees. So it's always what I'm seeing is somebody cutting their lawn. So I'm like, imagine if you just fell off that thing, the thing kept riding, and then, oh my. Dude's gone.
Ooh, yes. That's yeah, I just had an image of the scene in Deadpool with the Zamboni.
Ah, that's like the worst way to go. By a you like if I'm gonna die, I want to be. I always say that probably you don't have to worry about anything you do in your life, but when you die, the way you will be remembered is that funeral. You got to pay somebody to give a really good speech. Like if you have some dude that's saying your whatever your final thing where they're putting you into the ground, have a voice actor. Have the Arby's guy go, "Arby's, we have the meats." And then they're like, "But we're at a funeral." And he goes, "That's the only line I know." And then like you toss that out there and it's like, well, I really remembered that because afterwards we got curly fries and nobody gave a shit.
Yes. Now, I've heard it said I would love to have the concept of someone playing "Pop Goes the Weasel" slowly throughout the funeral, and people just nervously eyeing the casket. Like, is this gonna is he gonna pop out?
Yo, you just made me think of that one toy where as a kid it was a red box and had blue little pads or tiles, and then you would put the little yellow chips inside of it and it would be a
Oh yeah.
timer.
Oh God, what was that?
That shit was like intense. Like you were like,
What?
like you want to talk about giving kids heart attacks when they're young.
Yes.
Like that is a good one. Like imagine trying to play that at an elderly home and just see how many people go
Oh good lord.
and just like get right out of there, man.
God, what was that called? I can't remember. Frick.
Pop'ems. We're gonna call them pop'ems.
Pop'ems. We'll go with Pop'ems. It sounds right.
Sounds like a nice fit. I mean, those board games, a lot of the names didn't really make sense. Like Clue. Oh, it's the clue to discover who killed the person. I'm like, it's always General Custard. It's always that guy. You never trust a dude that wears his military uniform 24/7. I don't trust it. I get it. You worked hard. But still, like, you don't ever wear flip flops?
Nah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's what I'm
Don't.
saying. How did you discover, like, you had, I guess, a knack for impressions? Because, like, I guess I can do a.
Excuse me.
You don't die
I'm
on me
choking.
on
I'm
the.
dying on water here. So I.
Dude, I messed up making mashed potatoes, so that's like equal. I know how that feels.
That might not be as hard to mess up as you'd think. Hmm.
You good now?
Maybe.
Okay. You want a
I'll try not to
lozenge?
die.
I usually keep a lozenge for my guests, but I tend to I
How do
tend
you get
to
them
have
to him?
I've misplaced. I just hopes and dreams, just send them through like email or something and then that's
Uh,
what technology will get to one day. We can send an email and then it'll actually have an item where you can grab it off the screen like what?
just those matter transporters or things. Are you going Willy Wonka here?
Probably Willy Wonka. That's a better. I
Yeah.
like I like technology if it's like that because it's like the monkey's paw. Every single thing you get interested in or get into has a curse part to it. And that's what I
Ooh.
like is I believe that if you can't get everything handed to you. There has to be something that's like,
There's
here's the
always a
catch.
catch.
Yes. Yes. Now sell me a product as Heath Ledger's Joker.
A product. Oh, good lord. Yeah. What product? Give me a product.
A lozenge.
A lot. Do you know what really helps me after a long day of torturing the bat? A good lozenge to help refresh my throat, because it's very irritating to talk like this all the time.
Well, I have something called a throat coat tea, and that'll actually that they're not a sponsor, so we're not going to give them a plug.
You know what? Don't overdo it with throat coat. If I know that some people are very divided on throat coat. Um, if it works, just use it as a refresher. But if you are really hurting Don't take throat goat to try and keep going, because then you will do some serious damage.
Well, it gets like the phlegm in like your throat. Like a lot of where people go like, like you got there's the phlegm in the throat that gets
Yeah.
built up,
Uh,
and you got
that
to be careful.
that's the one thing. If it's just an occasional, just to help you out a little bit, but don't ever rely on it if you are seriously hurting, because you will do some bad damage, and then if that's your line of work, you're done.
Yeah, it really like I guess when I was a kid, my dad's like a radio personality. So I remember he came home after like going to a Ravens game and like he couldn't talk. Like his voice sounded like when like you clip a dog's vocal cords and they sound like a fucking duck. Like so like he couldn't talk. He was like he's talking like this. And I was like, how are you gonna work? Like that's your moneymaker. That's what is your career is you're a radio personality. Now you can't
Yep.
talk on the air. And he goes, yeah. So he had to take a couple days off. And I'm like, it's the same thing. Like I had someone in my family who's a guitar player, like makes money doing that. Got pissed off, punched the floor. I'm like,
Ooh.
hold on a second. You can punch a wall. You punch the fucking floor. You're not going through that. You're
Nope.
that the wall is a possibility, but the floor, no. And he broke his hand. And I was like, see, now you're trying to play guitar and you can't play. Like you're destroying your moneymaker. You don't know what you take for granted until you realize that you've lost it.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Oh, excuse me. No, that you gotta take care of what helps make you money, and you gotta help take care of the things that you only have one pair of, like your eyes, like you said earlier. I used to work in a machine shop, and I was pretty much the only one who was always wearing my safety glasses, because other people, they're like, nothing's ever happened, nothing's ever hit me in the eye, I'll be fine. Don't trust that ever. I've seen some things.
I don't trust any machine shops at all. I used to in school we had to go to like this vocational school and we'd be able to practice like carpentry or mechanics or woodworking or something. I
Yep.
remember one of the blades it didn't have a guard on it. It was like one of the old school ones before they upgraded for safety. And I was slicing this wood and my fingers were so fucking close. I just remember my teacher just screamed, "Sah!" like I screamed and it caught me off guard and I went and like you know how you turn your
Yeah.
head? My fingers were still going. So I almost cut my fingers off. And he's like, I almost cut your fingers off. I was like, I was doing fine until you fucking yelled.
Yep.
Like, wait till someone's finished. But like, you don't even understand. Like, I bring up the monkey's paw. It's probably one of my favorite plays out there. But my uncle had a scenario. He works at a machine shop, like grinding and pressing all these types of things. And he had really
Yep.
long hair. And I remember
Ooh.
I went over after like, I guess I saw them 1 week and then I went over like 2 weeks later and he had a completely shaved head. I was like, what happened? He goes, my hair got stuck in one of the machines. And as it was pulling me into it, somebody cut my hair off. And then I just shaved the rest of it off because it looked ridiculous. And I was
Yes.
like, so you almost died. He goes, yeah, if that dude didn't chop off my hair, yeah, it would have been a pretty bad incident. I'm like, so
Oh
what
yeah.
the, like, what, why are we working in shops? What, maybe
It's
you're not
it's a
set up.
necessity for some things.
Yeah.
Um, I
Some
mean,
people can do it though. Others can't.
yep. It takes a lot with some things, but oh, good lord, there are so many things you have to be so careful with, because I don't, you know what a lathe is? But it's use it for either wood turning or metal turning. Used for cylindrical things, making threads. Putting the piece in, you have the chuck and you have the chuck key. So you have to tighten the chuck with the chuck key, and then remember to take that chuck key out before you turn it on. I have seen people who have forgotten, and just by the luck of the placement, the chuck key itself is what got jammed when it got turned on, and it protected their hand. If they had been angled wrong, they could have been pulled into the machine. They could have just had their hand crushed. I've seen the chuck key go flying across the room. You cannot mess around with these things.
See, this is what we talk about. Like some people are kind of fit for different positions. Like for some people, like where we would say that sounds crazy. Why would you do that? That sounds like more dangerous than anything.
Yep.
But to some dudes, like that's my comfort zone. That's like where I feel like I thrive the most. So like, I mean, I love doing impressions and stuff. But when did you find that that was your comfort zone? Like when did you find that voice acting was like, oh,
Um,
this is something I want to get into?
well, it's been a short journey so far for me, and like I said, I've not really gotten into impressions so much. I'm still working on mastering my own voice and my own acting. But for the most part, my girlfriend, she loves to listen to horror podcasts and creepy stories, Reddit stories, things like that. And some of them are great. They do really good work, but some of them they don't put effort into it, and it's like so robotic the entire time I am talking, and they have a cadence that they follow no matter what they do, and it's just so irritating to listen to. But she listens to it for something as filler in the background, and so as we both kind of decided, you know what, I can do better than some of the ones you're listening to. So I'm just gonna start my own. And that's how I started with any kind of narration. And I started branching out, wanting to get into other acting and things like that. And I haven't gotten so much under my belt just yet. But besides my YouTube thing, I've also done a different audio drama called "My Wife Has a Removable Face," um, and that one was really well done. For those who'd love to check it out, that was hosted by someone Adilicious. So if you want to check that one out, that was pretty good.
I'll link it in the description, but that's see, voices are so weird because depending on how you sound, you might sound amazing to somebody, then you might sound terrible to somebody else. Like
Absolutely.
I never realized I had an accent until my buddy pointed out to me. He's like, dude, your Baltimore accent is just it's so just ridiculous. I'm like, what do you mean? This is how people talk. He goes, no. Like I had a speech language person on here, like person that studies speech patterns and everything. And
Right.
she's like, I'm trying to figure out where you're from. And I'm like, what? And she's like, where are you from? Like your accent, I can't pinpoint it. Is it, what is it, Southern? I'm like, no. I mean, we're technically below the Mason-Dixon line, but no, no, no. I'm from Baltimore. And I realized one of my favorite comedians, he talks just like me. That's probably why I like him a lot. Like when he says fuck, like he says it like it's a thing. Like it's not, it has a different impact to it. And it's like, then depending on like, I like to play a game when I go to stores and stuff where it's like I like to try and act like an accent, an impersonation or something through the whole entire purchase, or as long as I'm in the store whenever I'm talking to somebody, and see how long I can do that. So let's say like some people have a thunderous commanding voice, like one where when they talk, they're talking so loudly that it's like everyone in the room is like, and sometimes you can't manipulate, you cannot recreate that. There are people I've done a podcast with that are from like Chicago, for instance. Great guy, Law Torello. His voice is so loud and booming where it's like he's the type of guy where he goes, sit down. Everyone would like feel it in their bones. We're like, what the fuck?
Yep.
And there are some people that talk like my one of my closest friends. He whispers when he talks. So you're like, what? Am I going deaf? Why? You're like the TV. In some parts it's really loud, and then in most of the parts it's really silent. So you turn it up to 40. The next thing you know, it's and you're like, oh shit, and then you have to turn it down, and then you got to turn it right back up.
Yep. I am notorious for being too quiet for things. I blame it on being raised by a librarian. So I don't know.
Did you have to be silent in your house?
Not so much. My father was very quiet, and I kind of picked up on that, and that's just how I am. But with him being very quiet, you really knew when you messed up, because the very few times he raised his voice, you knew, because he does not raise his voice at all unless something is very wrong.
See, I know something's wrong when someone says my full name. Like my real name's Robert, not Robbie or Rob. So
Yep.
whenever I hear that, the back of my neck hairs just stand up and I'm like, what am I being yelled at for? Like it's an immediate like attention thing, like to call
Yes.
someone by their legit professional names. But I like to be called Rob. And then people are like, oh, ROB. I'm like, no, no, two B's. They're like, why two B's? I'm like, because I want to be different than every other asshole out there named Rob. Because there's like 10 in my family and we all have distinct different characteristics. Like one person's got an apostrophe over their fucking O.
Oh, jeez. Get a little umlauts.
And then do you want
Uh,
to talk about a bigger border than that is language border. Like
oh,
people that are from
jeez.
different countries, like that's Tim, but Tim has an apostrophe over his M. So I'm like, so what does that mean? Well, when you say Tim, you don't say Tim. You say Tim, Tim, Tim. I'm like, well, now we're just playing science. We're playing
Oh,
make believe. We're
it,
LARPing.
it's like Sean with a father.
What?
Father. Sean. It has that little accent over the e. That's called a father. It's an Irish thing.
I don't know that one.
You don't know that? Well, yeah.
I know in Canada it's difficult because the fact that you guys have English and then you have French.
Yes.
I'm like, are you trying to fuck yourselves over? Because I could not do that at all.
Yeah. You learn it in school. Some of it sticks, some of it does not. It didn't stick well with me. I can't speak a lick of it anymore. Besides saying I don't speak it.
There's like, because there's people like we talk about that something's appealing to someone else and something's worse to somebody. Like Irish accents. That gets me on. That turns me on. I love it. I don't care if you're a chick or a dude or yeah, chick or a dude. I'm in it. You want to non-disclose whatever you want to say. I don't care. That accent just melts me down like butter. I don't know
Yeah.
what it is about the people.
Well, I mean, it's been voted as the top sexiest accent in the world.
French?
No, Irish.
I know, but French. What about
Oh,
that? That's the
French.
language of love.
I think that was actually fourth, if I remember correctly. I'd have to look it up again. I know. I was surprised.
Every country's so damn different. I was just at my work and they had on the screen on the TV, it was like the Winter Olympics or something for a different, or it was like some Winter Games something in Norway. The, it was a bunch of women and they were skiing. And I was like, oh, it's skiing competition. That's cool. And then as I'm watching, they would stop, pull a rifle off their back, and then shoot targets. And I'm like, what the fuck are we doing over here? That is badass. Like, look
Oh
at
yeah.
that.
Oh yeah. Oh jeez. Yeah, that one that takes a lot of freaking skill because shooting in the cold. Oof. My fingers, they hate the cold. So just trying to manipulate a trigger accurately, I couldn't do it.
We have it because we test for like COVID and stuff. So people have like the little thermometer gun that stick to your
Oh
forehead
yeah.
and stuff. So it's like imagine if someone had a real one and just it looked like that, like you're gonna get your head blown off. But then I was at work and I was like, my fingertips are always really freezing and my hands are kind of like a little bit warmer, but they're not warm. Since I have low iron levels, my natural temperature is at like a 70.
Oh
So I'm cold all the time.
yeah.
So I was looking, I was like, all right, let me see this thermometer thing. So I stuck it on my hand and it said 72. And I was like, all right, well, that's not bad. And then I pointed at my fingers. Can you guess what it was?
90.
65.
Ooh.
It was like
Wow.
7 degrees colder. I was like, why? What is happening? And then I'm like, is everybody else like this? And I'm like thermometering, whatever you want to say. I'm gonna turn that into a verb. Thermometer.
Thermometering.
Good God, that's a word I don't think I can say. Thermometering people in the gym. And I was like, all right, well, you're a 90, you're a 90. Like, what's you? And I'm like, I'm a 70. They're like, are you dying? I'm like, probably.
Well, we're all slowly dying.
I guess. I mean, that's what I say about old people is that their skin, when it like sags down, it's just the underworld pulling them closer.
Jeez.
I said to my grandma, and she's like, no fucking chocolate chip pancakes for you. I was like,
Oh,
damn.
geez, yeah. You're cut off.
Oh God,
Oh,
that's
good
the
lord.
worst thing you want. It's like being at Denny's and it's like 3 a.m. and they're like, sir, you have to go. And it's like, but this is Denny's. You're like, yeah, that's what's really bad is that we don't want you anymore and we're fucking Denny's.
You gotta question where your life is going if Denny's kicks you out.
They go, I'm gonna give you a grand slam breakfast to go. And you're like, damn it.
Well, at least you got something for the road.
All right, if you had to give a new voice, let's say, okay, so here it is. All these fast food chains, you got to revamp. Pick a fast food chain out of all of them.
Oh no. Um. Well, hell, Wendy's.
Wendy's, they got this, they still have the same logo, but they want to give a new voice. They want to give a voice, and you have to choose this voice. So, what's the voice of Wendy's that's going to appeal to the audience? What's one that's going to make them marinate in their seat like a stack of butter on a nice thing of flapjacks?
I'll try and think of something that's not too lewd. Good lord.
Doesn't have to be a female voice. You can do a
Oh,
man
I
voice
know.
if you
I
want.
know. Just still trying not to keep it so that people don't actually marinate.
I would do SpongeBob, the old woman that was severely like burned in the chair. What are they selling? They're selling chocolates. What? I remember when they first invented chocolate. I always hated it.
Come get our burgers. You'll love them. They're not in chocolate. They're just
I can tell you right now, that's the lunch lady at my school. I know you like them sloppy, and just like slaps it down on the
A
plate.
lunch meat isn't made of the gymnasium pads, I swear.
What is a gymnasium pad? What are we doing?
Sorry, I had a
Ah,
flashback to Simpsons where they're grinding up the gym mats.
oh my god, that was a beautiful voice. But what would you use that as the voice of Wendy's?
Oh, dear Lord, no.
You
Good
need
Lord.
something soft and sweet, like, "How you doing?" Or hold on, "I'm Grandma Betty Barker, and I'm here to make you a nice Wendy's sandwich. You're gonna love it. It's delicious. You can get some fries. You can get some eggs. Hell, you can even get some roast beef because we're Wendy's and we don't really have a niche audience of what we sell. We honestly could sell you sushi because we don't have a strict menu. We can do whatever you want. We're just happy you're here."
Come get ourselves some nice baked potatoes with a little sour cream on the side. You love it, I swear.
Sour cream on the side with your baked potato? Savage. I am like against sour cream and mayo.
You don't like sour cream? What is wrong with you? Sour cream is awesome.
It's crazy because I'm a big chili guy and everybody puts sour cream in their chili. And I'm like, that is disgusting.
You know what? To me, chili itself is kind of disgusting.
What? You've never had Maryland chili, son?
I guess not, no.
Oh my God, I will figure out the recipe and how to make it and I will make it for you and ship it to you through email.
Get a little matter transporter. We'll be good.
Just make sure you check your spam box.
I Please don't put spam in it.
Oh, have you ever had spam?
I have not. The very concept of spam disgusts me.
By itself, it is dog shit. But I went to Hawaii, and what the natives do there is called spam asubi, and it's a spam. Like apparently, when you get it in the can, there's like layers of beef to it, like just layer upon layer, like you're stacking a Jenga high. It's 5 stacks high of fucking beef, and you take one of those little things and you cook it like to where it's like kind of like a little bit grilled, and then you wrap it, you put it on top of like a rice, like a little square thing of rice, and then you wrap it with a seaweed wrap. It is really freaking good. Like
Spam sushi
it
is what that
is
sounds like.
it is, but it's called spam asubi, but it's like really good. There's no fish on it. All you're doing is having spam with rice. So it's like having, if you ever had steak and rice or shrimp and rice, it's like
Oh
that
yeah.
kind of combination.
Oh yeah.
It's,
That
it's a breakfast food too.
mm, hmm. I don't know. I still couldn't get over it being spam.
It honestly, I didn't think about it because I ate like 50 of them because they just sell them. Like if you ever go to 7-Eleven or you don't have those, and
Yeah, we have 7-Eleven.
okay, I don't know what you guys have down there. Even though I've talked to so many Canadians, I'm just like my mind blanks.
That's okay.
Apparently, there's a big controversy between Montreal and Toronto. There's like a hate feud. I'm like, hold on a minute, aren't they
Oh,
the same place?
that I believe that's probably a hockey thing.
Uh,
So you got the Montreal Canadiens and the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Makes sense.
They're
Sports
battling
is
it out.
sports is big.
I might get my Canadian card revoked for this, but I don't actually follow hockey. So
I like to watch them hit each other. I think that's freaking amazing. But it's like watching football. I'm not a big fan of football just because
no,
it's not in the wheelhouse. You know what I mean?
no.
There's many other things in my wheelhouse I'm more worried about. That's all
Yeah,
I can say.
I can't get into organized sports. That's the thing. I can't watch sports. I just can't.
It's because the voices are off. That's what it is. We could revamp that too. I think the NFL would sound a lot better if there were some new voices on there. I think it's the fakeness in it. Like I don't
Yeah.
mind it, but like I don't like when I listen to a podcast and the guy's like, "We're coming up on the best of," and it sounds like a radio thing, and I'm like,
Well,
"Why
even
don't?"
the radio people, some of them don't like that. But in my area, we used to have a show, the Biggs and Bar Show. They're up in Ottawa now. They never did anything like that. They always kept it real. They always tried to make sure all their reactions were legitimate, and they were so much better. And then I switch over to some other station, and they're all so excited about absolutely everything. And despite the fact that I've been listening to this because I need something in the background for over an hour, you're repeating the same things and having the exact same responses. Like it's the first time you've heard it. No, I can't stand that.
If you're going to have that voice, you should have it 24/7. So the hospital should call you and your mother just died. And then you should be like, oh my God, mom is dead. I'll be down there in 25 minutes. You just won a prize. And it's like, fucking keep that 24/7. Cause like my parents, they're involved in radio. So like when it comes to voice acting and stuff, people are like, well, it always made sense. You led into podcasting. I was like, no, I did, when I first started this thing, it was like, choose your voice. And I was like, I'd rather just be me, because if I did an accent the whole time, you know how hard that would be to keep up for 600 something
Oh, it'd be
episodes.
exhausting.
I fucking remember it. Like my dad's voice that was on the radio is his real voice, because he picked a radio voice, and then he's just been on the radio so much that he doesn't know what his regular voice sounds like. So I'm like,
Yeah.
what's for dinner? And my dad was the type, breakfast for dinner, because I'm pretty sure he didn't make a lot of other things. French toast, pulled it out. Made you some French toast, Robbie. I'm like, looking around the room like, are we on fucking air? What? Is there a sign I'm missing? Did I walk into, like, you ever think you were in the Truman Show? Like
Oh,
everybody
good
is
lord,
like,
yeah. Something's up here. Where's the camera?
yeah, I was like, wow, like, so you lost your actual voice. And it's
Yep.
funny because he talks so much on a daily basis, a lot like me, like talking doing the podcast, but I don't talk outside of my life. Like I just kind of like float on through. If somebody asks me
Yep.
questions, I strike up a conversation or something, but like I'm not going out of the way like, you sir, you sir, you sir, you sir. I'm like, no, no, no. I'm here to grab this one box of Raisin Bran
Yep.
and get out, even though I have to wait in line for 45 minutes because I don't know. I guess people are bored nowadays where going to the store turns into like an 8-hour adventure. Like, what are you doing? What are your plans today? I'm going to go to the store. I'm like, what are you going to do after? That's going to take up most of my day. I'm like,
Yep.
what?
Well, it takes up most of the day because of all these other people who it takes up all their time. So you're waiting in lines the entire time you're trying to get stuff. So it's one of the reasons, one of the few things that this whole human malware situation has brought about that I actually somewhat enjoy is the pickup curbside stuff. Because I can just order it online, go into the parking spot, let them know I'm there, they bring it out to me, and I leave.
So lazy though.
I know, I know, but it's so nice with that. And then it also helps keep you safe.
Life's not supposed to be convenient, damn it. It's supposed
Eh,
to be difficult. Fast food opened up that door to like, you don't even have to get out of your car. And then Sonic was like, really, we're just gonna fucking get some clown to roller skate it to you. And then you're really gonna feel like a king. And then when they drop it, or you drop it, and you don't have to open up your door to reach, like, the bank is the only thing I can think of where you literally still have to put in work, even though you're in your car. Like,
the bank,
yeah,
the banks, I don't know if you have them in your area, but a lot of the ones around here, they have pull up ATMs.
that you still got to get out of your car.
Nope.
You still
Nope.
got to lean out of your window.
Not
You got to
okay.
unbuckle
You
your
still
seatbelt.
you have to
Yeah.
lean out, but
Because I go to the bank booth and I'm like, all right, I need to go this. I'm like, ah, damn, my car's not close enough. So I can't just sit here. I have to unbuckle my seatbelt and lean out of my window or open up the
yeah,
door a little bit and then grab it. Then next thing I know, they give me this like fucking little tube to put your paycheck and stuff in with your, like your, so you can put it in your account or something if you don't have direct deposit.
yeah.
And it drops, like the pen drops and then it's on the ground. I have to open up the door and get out. And then everybody's looking at me like this son of a bitch is first time at a bank thing. And I know my buddy Mark, he was a voice actor as well. You should talk to him. You guys would fucking hit it off. But he worked at a bank and practiced his voices and stuff on there. And I was like, dude, you could literally just fuck with people. Like that's the only, if I was a voice actor, I would get my practice by working at a fast food place and just going through the drive through like, hi, welcome to McDonald's. How may I help you today? It's like, let me get a double cheeseburger with it's like, are you contemplating your decision? And then you just sit there and then they answer like 5 minutes later, like, and I'll get an iced coffee. And you're like, a double cheeseburger and an iced coffee. Is there anything else for you? And then the person's like, and you're like, oh, whatever will get you out of this place. And I can give the rest of the people behind you their orders would be so helpful. Because I swear every time I'm in line for something, I get an iced coffee and I have to wait 45 fucking minutes. And
Yeah,
that's just
it's the people like that. They're the ones who are in there. They're ordering for their family and someone else's family. They're ordering like 10 different meals going through the drive-through. If you have to order more than 4, go inside.
thank you.
For the
Thank
love of
you.
for the love of God, don't take up the drive-through. That's for the quick people who know what they want already, who just want to get there. I'll take my number 2. Give me, the drink with this large sized fries. Let me get through. Just
It, it really slapped me in the face when this incident happened where someone got really pissed off that was behind me and they went up to the car in front of me that we were all waiting on. He just goes, I hope you get COVID. I'm
oh,
like, whoa, like that's a thing now? Is
savage.
that a new comeback? Like, is that, did we just finally hit that shift where it's like, instead of I hope you die, it's like, I hope you get COVID. It's like,
That's almost as
whoa.
bad as saying I hope you get cancer. Frick.
Like, fuck, man. Like,
Oh,
everyone looked at him like, is that bad? What just like that comeback seems like it's not a good one, but it's like that's still like it's a serious thing that's going on and people are fighting each other about a bunch of different things that have nothing to do with COVID. So I'm like, is really calling somebody at McDonald's and telling them you hope they get COVID. And then bring it back to their whole family. He added that last bit on there.
ooh,
And I was like,
ouch.
whoa,
Yeah,
whoa,
that's a
grandma's
little
fucking
harsh.
choking on a steak back at the house and she has nothing to do with this situation.
Frick sakes. Just let her make her pancakes in peace. God.
Right. God damn. It's like you got to start. I see, because we used to make fun of the people that like the people that would talk to themselves in stores. Like, I don't know. Well, no, you can't get that. Well, you're like, is that person? You check their ears for Bluetooth, and
Yeah.
then you realize there's no Bluetooth, and you're like, this person is just batshit insane. But like, that's everybody now. Like, I do
Yeah.
my impressions to myself. I don't do them like out loud, where I'm like, oh my, it's tragic news. I'm gonna buy some things from the store, but I don't know what to get. I don't do Christopher Walken randomly in a fucking store, and then I
You know
don't
what? You
answer
should.
him.
You should, because it'll get people. They will be looking for Christopher Walken, because that was damn good.
Like hit it on the speaker, like everybody, the store is closed. I don't have a lot of impressions. Like I said, everyone's got a vocal range. There are some people that can do amazing sound effects. Like I know Joe Rogan, for instance, he can do bear sounds, like like perfect bear sounds. Then I can do like a good cow sound. I can do like that freaking, that you got to hit that level. And then there's
Yeah.
geese. Fuck, I know you're from Canada. Yes, thank you. Only reason I was voting Ron White for president last election was because of the fact that he wanted to build a net between Canada and America to catch those fucking geese. Those ducks are insane. They go, ha, ha. I'm like, oh, son of a, oh.
And the attitude they have with that voice.
He
Oh
says
my
that
God.
too. He says they have such gusto where they walk across the street and they don't give a
Yes.
shit about you. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to hit me? And they can
Yeah.
fly over the damn road.
I
It,
know, it's so freaking. I live on a parkway, so I drive down the parkway all the time, and the amount of times I've had to freaking stop for these geese because they just start walking out in front of you. It's like, just,
dude,
I will hit you. Get out of my way.
my neighborhood is the same thing. I watched a woman as I was late for work wait 45 minutes for a whole line of
Oh
geese to
God.
cross. And as
I,
they all crossed, she started going, they flew right back over to the complete opposite way. I was like, we just wasted 45 minutes of you sitting here trying to be a good person and let these ducks cross by. But you don't realize you got to go through. It's slow and steady. They will move. They will freak out. They will do whatever. But you got to, I
yep.
understand. They're, delicate line. That's amazing. No, there, there are rules to society. And hit a duck. I don't care. Ha! God,
Good thing.
uh, the worst types of ducks in the world.
God.
It's like when you go to the zoo and there's no animals and you just start making animal noises. Where's all the elephants? That elephant sounds like it was deflating.
Oh Jeez, you know what? Noises at a zoo, something I will never forget. My father took me to a zoo. I don't remember where, but we could just hear. We were off by the orangutans, and we could just hear this. And so we're looking around like, what is that? That's off in the distance, but that is loud. And we start walking around, and we keep going. It starts getting louder, and we look over. We're going through a reptile area, and we just hear it even louder. It's these tortoises having sex. They, it's they make noise. What is this nonsense? And it's a thing. I don't know if you've ever heard it. Look up some videos of tortoises and turtles making out or making love. They make the weirdest noises when they have sex. I can't believe it.
Yeah, it's probably painful. They're
Well,
old as shit. Have you ever heard your grandparents bone before?
no, I
It
haven't.
doesn't sound good. My grandfather never enjoyed it. I'm like, do you ever get laid? And he just goes, no, I'm fucking miserable. I honestly, this marriage is dead. That's why I'm always sleeping in my recliner. I'm like, that's awful. He goes, I'm only with her for the pancakes. I'm like, damn, you get
Savage.
one fucking, what, a 20-minute meal out of the whole day? He goes, yeah. Then I just act like I'm working on the lawnmower and I go outside. And I'm like, that's why you're always out there. What do you do out there? He's like, I have candy out there. And he
Oh,
hides
nice.
candy all over. He's a fucking genius, man.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny that you mentioned the sex thing with the zoo because I've talked to a zookeeper and that was my first question I asked her was like, how often do animals make, just have sex in zoos? She's like, all the time. Because I had a memory with my grandma. We went to, oh God, what was the zoo? It wasn't in Hawaii. I think it was in Delaware. I'm trying to remember the name of the zoo. But she had her little she has the old VHS like home tape cameras, the ones you can burn it and make like a VHS tape or whatever it
Oh, yeah.
is. And she was going around the zoo filming us and everything. And my brother's older than me, so he's like, "Oh, we're at a fucking zoo. Like I don't want to be here." He's
Yeah.
probably my age now. I was like 16 or something. We're walking through. No, I was 14. He was probably 17. We're walking through the zoo, and my grandmom stops and starts filming these chimpanzees. Like this whole thing. This monkey looked directly at my grandmom's camera, like stared at it, grabbed a stuffed animal, ripped the head off the stuffed animal. And my grandma's laughs like a snort. She goes like that.
Yeah.
And she's laughing the whole time. This monkey grabs the body of the stuffed animal, starts rubbing his dick with it.
Oh, God.
And I'm like, this is why we evolved from apes. Because the first thing this monkey did when a camera hit on it was start masturbating.
Yep.
And my
Oh,
grandma filmed it the whole length of the masturbation until
yeah.
complete
You
and
gotta find that and
snorting.
put it on YouTube.
I was like so embarrassed, but I couldn't stop laughing because like my grandma, I was just laughing at her because she was like front and center, like videotaping. And I'm like, this is porn. If you really think of it,
Yeah.
these are the Kate Upton monkeys. These are the ones that make the Kim Kardashian video that gets leaked on the internet.
Oh, yeah. Freak.
So we
Well,
came from apes.
you know what? At least if it had to be something that they're notorious for, I would rather come across them while they're doing that than have them throwing feces.
Do you think
That
we can make an audio drama of just monkeys having like fun times? We
you know
call it
what? It
monkey
probably
fun times.
exists.
Monkey business is what we'll
Oh,
call
Jesus. You want the monkey paw?
it. Yes, bringing it back. I like it. That was a good one. Oh my god. Monkey's paw. That's what we could call it. And everyone's like, it's this one really great play I saw when I was in school. And then you start listening to it. It's like that's not what it was. I swear to God. Like this is not what I wanted.
Oh, good lord.
Uh,
But honestly, the sad fact with the state of the universe, it probably exists.
I look, we're sitting here fighting for views, fighting for followers as podcasters, as voice actors. We're scraping for every little ounce of attention to make a small dent in
Yep.
this world.
Oh, yeah.
We should have just did ASMR. Those people don't have to do jack shit and they
I
get billions of views.
just stirring something in a cup. 1 million views.
I like the
What?
chewing factor. Like I don't like it if I'm sitting at a dinner table and someone starts chewing with their mouth open. I'm like,
No.
what the hell are you doing? And then but I really like it when they're in the microphone, they're eating like a sandwich or they're doing like food reviews
I couldn't stand it. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, misophonia. It it's like a
Mesothelioma?
no, God no, no
Do you have a painfully twisted neck like this and the fucking lady's head sideways?
It's the Taco Bell thing ad. Oh God, no,
What
misophonia.
Taco Bell ad?
I maybe it was it Taco Bell or something else. They used to have an ad for trying to everybody's head is cricked to the side because they're always turning their head to keep the toppings in. I don't remember that. That was ages ago.
Whoa.
um,
Look, commercials have made an amazing thing. Usually people talk about like they wait for the Super Bowl to go see the amazing commercials that they play. Like there's the Doritos goat. You ever seen that one?
I have not.
Where the goat tries to steal the Doritos and he opens up the pantry after eating all these Doritos and the dude hit all the Doritos and the goat just goes, "Ah! Ah!" and just starts screaming. And it's like the funniest thing in the world. And then like that was a really good goat scream. If you look it up after this, you'll be like, damn, that was just
I've heard the scream. Some of them there is at least one that I think is just faked that somebody has voiced over it that has is one of the more famous ones, but I've heard some of the real ones and good lord, those things are human.
only thing that screams worse than that is parrots. Parrots
Oh
are
God, yes.
horrible. Um, the goat makes that noise or whatever. But the Super Bowl commercial, I just saw one, and it was yesterday actually. It was during the game, and it was a football commercial, and they just go, "Here's a nice Ravens welcome mat, so you can stomp the face of your mortal enemies." And I'm like, "Whoa!" I literally stopped, and I was like, "Wait a minute, is that a fucking?" That's really dig. That's a dig deep for a commercial. Usually they try not to offend anybody. And she goes, "Do you like the Browns? You know, is their season doing good? Let's be honest. No, they're not." And then they start selling something, and I'm like, "What the hell is happening?" And like, "What about the Titans?" And it's like, we don't even talk about the Titans. They're awful. And it's like, who's the team on this? And it's a Best Buy ad. And I'm like, what the fuck? You just like took down half of your audience by naming every other team but one. Like it didn't make sense, but it was like really good commercial because it was like finally someone that just stopped giving a shit and was
Yeah.
like, I'm just going
Yeah.
to call out everybody.
Well, they need to do that sort of thing though because it goes viral and then they hear about it. People know about it. It- It's a
Well,
good tactic, but it's also a good way to go down in flames for some things.
well, it's like with voice acting. You're hiring somebody based on their voice. And then a lot of people are like, no, they need to be of this ethnicity if they're going to play this role. And it's like, oh my God, there's just people that are just trying to do the thing that they have a gift for, something that they have a talent for, hitting a voice. I understand, giving jobs to everybody, but at the same time, you're listening to somebody's voice and that's all you're using them for. Like, yeah, you can develop a relationship and stuff, but it's like you're just like if you gave me your Joker without seeing your face. If we did like
Mhm.
just audio only, so people listening that are listening to the audio version are like, all right, I've heard his impressions. They're gonna pick you if that's the best fit for Joker. They're not gonna choose based on your ethnicity or anything. But then some people are like, well, but some places do. I'm like, that's like it goes into a deeper discussion where it's like it's just a bunch of people really trying to survive in this world and trying to
Yep.
do something that you're passionate about. I don't want to, be a host of a show or something and I need voices and I have all these it's an only black or only Asian radio show. And then you can't get a part even though you play the best voice of it. It's like the same thing if you ever saw the Apu documentary. I was like, "Damn, like how are you going to take this guy down after that show has been running for so freaking long?"
Yeah, I don't know. It's that's a very touchy subject. Yeah, see, it does go both ways in some sort of thing because I know it. I'm all for the ones that are searching for a specific race for their thing, but for the ones that aren't, and if somebody gets picked over somebody else, I don't want it to be a race thing because, I mean,
I don't judge the Arby's guy. I don't know what ethnicity he is. He could be
no,
a robot.
yeah, well, it's that sort of thing, and then here, I see these people who get all up in arms because there are people who are trying to do the you know person of color only audition, and it's like why get up in arms about that because they do need the work. If somebody tried to do a no, I don't want anyone of color to voice this white person, there would be very much hell to pay if somebody said something like that. But like it is again, it's all about the voice. If one person can do a voice convincingly for the character you're looking for, that should be the person for the job. It race should never be an issue for a voice,
Yeah.
ever.
If you're creating a product such as a movie, such as anything that is something that you created and you have an idea and someone hits close onto that idea, then you don't care about what they look like. They could be overweight, they could be whatever. You are going to pick them for the role because that's what best fits your description of an idea. Like
Yeah,
that's what I look at. I'm like, we haven't gone insane. We're not as
yeah,
people. We're just really trying to pick at everything, and it's like there there might be an issue. I'm not saying there isn't. I'm just saying if I create a cartoon series, I'm gonna pick the voices that best resemble what I'm trying to figure out. And if they're white, black, whoever, it's like when I contact people through pages, I don't know what they look like. I had no
yeah,
idea what you look like before you hop on here. You could have had one eye, and then that would totally go into my eye segment. That would have been perfect and not random at
yeah,
all. But it's just that type of thing. You don't know. It's like Christmas. You're opening up
yeah,
a gift. And next thing you know, you're into something. Because it never, no matter who you are, no matter what you have, it wouldn't stop you from having a conversation.
exactly. And you know what? It's with that sort of thing. I think I don't understand why having a headshot or a mugshot or something for a voice actor is such a big thing, because it really shouldn't matter. It doesn't matter what you look like as long as you have the voice that fits the role. At all, that's end of it. Just do away with the mugshots and nobody will care anymore.
It's like someone has a really sweet, soothing voice, but then they're ugly, and you're like, I don't, I can't. And it's like, hold on a second. But their voice is like butter. Like all you're going to use
Exactly.
them for is the voice. It's like, yeah, but they have mutton chops, and I'm like, what's wrong with mutton chops?
Bring back the mutton chops.
I'm going to when I can grow them one day. Yeah, we'll have beautiful mutton chops.
I couldn't grow them. This is me after like a month.
This is me after like 5 years.
Oh geez.
Just
Okay.
slowly adds on, and I have to like trim it so I don't look like a child, even though I get carded fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
They're like, you're gonna love it when you're older. I'm like, I don't fucking love it now. I rather look 90. My great grandfather actually lived to be 94. He stopped taking his medication at like 90. I asked why. He goes, because I look like a goblin. And I'm like, so you want to die? He's like, I don't want to be here anymore. I'm like, that's so sad. He goes, no, it's more pain to be alive. I'm like, really? Like emotionally? He goes, no, physically, like getting out
Yeah.
of bed, shit pops and it doesn't get back into place. I'm like, so it's just like agonizing pain every day. He's like, why do you think I sit in this chair?
Yeah.
People bring me food. That's fun. But I can't get up. If I have to
Oh.
piss, I just sit here.
Yeah, you have to wonder because you go back way back when the life expectancy was like 30 and people are always, I want to live forever. I want to live forever. Now that we're getting to that point, it's like, no, no, let's go back to the like, you're lucky to reach 50.
People always say like the age back then was like being 30 years old and you die. The it's not That's not entirely true. We
Yeah.
actually lived to like 70s back then too, but it was the fact of how many people got murdered, how
Yeah.
many
The
people died of
murders,
illness.
yep, murders, plagues, pandemics, wars, things
It
like
all
that.
it all goes back to math class because they find the median of those ages. Oh, well, six people died at the age of what,
Yep.
5, 7, 12, and then the other seven people we're going to calculate died in their like 80s. So let's find the middle, and that would be around 40 years old was the average lifespan. I'm like, oh, so everything I've learned in history class was bullshit. Like, yep,
Pretty much.
nice to know that I was lied to as a child.
Yeah. They, there's some benefits to some points of the history, but the average life expectancy probably isn't one of them.
I've had way too many requests to do this,
Oh,
and I'm going to say it to you, and I'm offering you the invitation. I want to start an audio drama series, and I'm just going to have a bunch of people. Actually, I'll just make one giant episode where it's like 12 of us. And then, like, I'll send you everybody I'm thinking about getting on that were voice actors. And I just want you to communicate with these people because you guys would get into this amazing group. And I want to just have a whole episode where everybody doing impressions. I know people that do like really good famous ones. I only have one really good one, and that's probably Christopher Walken. And all the other ones are kind of like shabby. Like my Don Corleone's pretty good, but
oh yeah.
yeah. You gotta like shift the jaw forward and be like, "Today, another diamond never come call on you for your services."
That was pretty good. Yeah. That. Jeez.
My
Yeah.
Morgan Freeman sounds like the one off Family Guy.
Oh
Ever since I was a little boy, people have enjoyed the sound of my voice.
God. Oh freaking hell! That's a voice. See that sort of thing right there shows that not everybody needs to do impressions. Just be good with your own voice, because some people will love it.
And you don't even know what your own voice sounds like because it reverberates off your bones and actually gets distorted in your own ears.
Well, you hear it more once you start actually recording it and editing it. Oh,
Gotta
editing.
add like 30 syllables on that one.
When you're editing it, yeah. I
I don't really edit. So when I hear myself talk, I just try and skip through it because I don't like my own voice. But people are like, your voice is so soothing. And then some people are like, your voice sucks. It's too Baltimore. I'm like, where's do I have to please everyone? I'm just talking.
yeah,
I don't want to hurt anybody.
I think everybody does hate their own voice until you get to the point where you have to listen to it more often than you would normally. And then like I've grown accustomed now to my voice. I don't hate it anymore. My girlfriend seems to really like it. She thinks I have a good voice.
You,
Oh,
you,
I say as I have a nice voice crack.
my buddy's voice cracks all the time, but then mine never does. And I'm like, what happened? I feel like maybe when you were hitting that line where your voice is changing, there was like something happened. Like you coughed and then something got fucked up.
Yeah. Well, I will say this is the longest I've spoken out loud for a very long time.
And you were nervous about doing a podcast.
Absolutely.
It wasn't hard. We
Eh,
we chatted for hour 15.
yeah, it has been that, hasn't it? Good lord.
Welcome to the jungle. That's an AC, ACDC. I can do his voice, I
Oh
think.
yeah? Let's
He's
hear it.
like, I'm drinking gasoline because it helps to scream. Yes.
That was pretty good. That was
That
pretty good.
freaking hurt.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, don't hurt yourself, please.
His vocal cords, like, it's trying to hone in on what your vocal cords can do, like make that little flap. Like, you ever heard wind? Like, there's people that can do the sound effect wind where it's like, like that. And then there's like, like that whole. I think I enjoy sound effects more than I enjoy like actual things. Like
A Foley artist with your mouth.
my dad told me once I hit puberty, he was like, "This was when I was a kid, not now. If this was my voice before puberty, that would be scary. Like the kid's voice is gonna get deeper, where he sounds like the guy from Allstate. You want
Oh god.
insurance? Well, let me help you with that." And you're like, "You're gonna murder me with a butter knife, and that's okay because I would still enjoy it."
You're going to enjoy every moment of me stabbing you to death.
Can you do a Shaggy or a Scooby?
Ruh-roh.
I like to laugh on that one. My Seth Rogen laughs like that. But Scooby's like, oh god, Reggie.
Like Zoink Scoob. Oh god, no, I can't do
You can do the voice crack. If I try and do that, like it sounds like I'm hitting a decimal or decibel level where there's no sound. You know what I mean? Like, or it's like you ever just your voice cracks to a higher pitch, and it's like the pitch is so high nothing's coming out, but you know you're definitely voicing something. And then there's a dog having a seizure in a corner, like on the ground, like ah.
Yeah. My dogs will let me know if I do that.
We should do a Family Guy series, but call it Monkey Business.
Get your sweet little monkey butt over here.
That is so good. Oh my god, that was amazing. All right, hold on. I need to give you a task to
Oh
complete.
no.
Sell me a popsicle as Herbert the Pervert, and I will do. Oh, I don't have any more impressions in my bank.
You want some popsicles? I got lots of popsicles here. Guys love me some popsicles. None of them Klondike bars, just popsicles here.
I'm John Lennon of the Beatles. Unless them popsicles are filled with LSD. That's what I love about voice acting is anybody watching these videos are gonna be like their faces are insane, and that's what you have to do when you're voice acting. You got to get into it.
Yeah, oh, good lord. I've never actually recorded my face when I'm doing voices or impressions or anything. Again,
Well, you're damn handsome, sir, and this
oh,
is
I
not a
thank you.
sponsor.
I know you're just trying to. You're waiting for the moment you can go get the eye bleach.
Wow. Hey, that is so horrible. I can't believe people do that. That's nuts. Why? Why? It's such a gift to your vision of sight and you want to take it away. You're able to disguise your voice or hit an octave frequency that is able to literally pitch touch anything that is in your distortive realm. See what I say about changing your perspective? You can make it sound mystical as shit rather than putting voice actor.
Oh yeah, voice manipulator.
Ooh, pleasing the masses. All right, man. Well, look, you've given me enough of your time, brother. Please promote where people can find you. I know we didn't really talk a whole lot about it, but you
Yeah,
gave
no
me an
worries.
amazing conversation, man.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter, of course, James Porteus. My horror narrations I do Tales from the Darkness. I'm on YouTube. Um, please do check that out. I do enjoy doing that. I'm not as frequent as I would like to be, but I am there and I do put it out as much as I can. Um, like I said, that other audio drama I was part of over on Addie Licious. Oh God, I can't say her name out loud. I'm sorry, Addie. Um, she has her audio dramas that she does over on her channel, and God, she does some good work on there. Um,
You got to close this out as the Joker.
it was a wonderful time being on here with you. I'm just sad I wasn't able to get my hands on you, give you a couple extra smile marks.
That was a Joker mixed with Mr. Rogers. Like, I'm scared to be around you, and I don't think I want to enter the neighborhood at all.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.